Check this out.
Welcome to the Biz Room Podcast.
With Tim Tam, where you learn how to mind your own business.
Hey, welcome everyone. Tim Town here. We're going live early today, and we have a pretty big day today regarding some other business. So today we're going to talk about, everything starts with a thought. So we're going to get into that. By the way, if anyone has a question or a comment, feel free to put it in the comment section. You will have to permission StreamYard if you see that, so that I see it. I do not see Facebook. D should be on. If not, it's okay. But we're going to go through a couple things. This really comes down to a few of the clients that are clients of Sparterra. And one of which was this one particular person had a product idea or an idea for a business. And literally it took 10 years before it saw light. So we're going to talk about that where, thoughts become things, right? I don't know who was actually quoted as saying that, but man, is it true. So many times in my life, I can accredit to the trajectory of my life just because of a thought. One of which has nothing to do with business, but years and years ago, I had a friend that said, hey, I would like for you to come with me to this party. We were young, teenagers, if you will. And I was scheduled to be somewhere else. And, I could tell that he needed a buddy. So I did it. And we ended up going to this party where I met my wife. And it was kind of a profound thing. There was this ironic photo album going around. And I look at my wife, which at that point was not my wife, right? So we were at this party for him. And something hit me like, I think I just met my wife. We did date a little bit way earlier, but it is what it is. Hey, pretty soon I'm going to bring on D Dipple here in a moment. But here's the reason why I want to bring this up. When I look back on it, and I really reflect a lot. When I looked back on that, I'm like, think of all of the changes that happened because of that one day, right? I was supposed to be somewhere else in Canada. And what happened was he needed me, right? So here we are one day. It was a Friday, so it's one day. Good morning, Bert. How are you, man? And once again, if you have a question or problems, or you want to add a story, or you want to, you have something that you want to share, feel free to put it in the comments and we can bring it up. Or if you have a question, we will answer it. But think of how profound this is. Because of that one night, that one thought, right? I had a choice to make. I could have either said, hey, man, already got other plans, which, by the way, my friends, there was about 8 of them that were talking me out of going with him and still going with Canada. I'll be honest, the Canada thing sounded a lot better, okay? But at the end of the day, we're here. And somehow, some way, there was a connection between my wife and I. And the next day, her friend said, hey, Lori would like to maybe even see you. And so from that moment on, boom, right? I look at my son that's, his family, my wife and I are going to have our 6th grandchild in days. So think about that for a moment. But I think of my amazing family, my amazing 3 kids that wouldn't have been here if it wasn't for that moment, that thought, an idea. It just wouldn't have happened, right? And what if I didn't take action? What if I didn't go? It would have been a totally different life. So believe it or not, I know it has nothing to do with business, but think about even business, how a thought becomes things. But there was an old saying that a thought without action is just a dream. So we're going to talk about this, that things that you're thinking about, things that you're pondering, look at how it changes your life. But here's the thing. There was a show years ago called, oh my gosh, I'm going to forget about it. It was, maybe some of you seen it and put your comments on your thoughts on this program, but it was called, oh my gosh, why can't I think of it? The Secret. Has anyone seen The Secret or read the book The Secret? Now, there's some mentors of mine that was part of that program that I feel was profound. That being said, I'm going to give you my take on The Secret. So The Secret's just like that, right? It's thoughts, right? Thoughts become things, but thoughts without action is a dream. So remember that when we talk about The Secret. The premise of The Secret was, if you can vision it in your mind, it'll come true. I believe that to a point. If you vision it in your mind, but you don't take action, it's nothing. Like, you got to take action. And there are some people, religious, Christians or whatever religion, they believe by, I'm just going to pray on it and God will give this to me. I don't think it works that way. You got to actually put yourself in motion for anything to happen. This is just the way it works. Like, if you put action to it, yes, you are going to see that result. Let me give you an example. We got all these gas prices and you're seeing somebody says, hey, do you have gas, buddy? I said, I don't need it. I get enough intel on Facebook. Think about it. And nothing against, it is what it is. Listen, folks, at the end of the day, you got to look at, what's in the news today is going to literally affect you. I see it affecting people, including some family members. You got to stay away from the crap. Like, don't feed your mind with bull crap. Don't feed your mind with stuff that you can't change, right? If I can't do anything about Ukraine. And then you got all this fake stuff out there. Listen, Ukraine is great. Like, don't buy into some of this stuff. More importantly, don't be part of a conversation if, for one, you don't know the facts. Number two, never oppose your opinion on something unless, there's times for that. But here's the thing. When you fill your mind with even this war, when there's nothing you can do about it, it's really gonna hurt you. 1 second. Oh, I'm going to bring in D Dipple. So everyone, here comes my partner here, D Dipple. D, welcome, my friend.
Good morning.
How are you, man? Good morning.
Doing good.
Today's topic, as you know, starts with a thought. I was sharing some of my personal things, and I have one more to say on that. And that is this. I really think, going back to that original story, I was going through a hard time in my life. I left home very young because I needed to. I was living in an all-girl dorm when I shouldn't have been there. And then I meet my wife and she didn't like that idea. So I had to make some choices, right? I had to make some changes. And because of that, I have this incredible, is it perfect? Nothing ever is, folks. When you're looking for perfection, matter of fact, this client I was talking about, she had a problem with, she was comparing herself with others and it was really affecting her. So you got to be really careful of that. But for me, I made a choice. I made a decision. And based on that decision, I just had an incredible life. And then I applied that to everything, including my business. I've had many, many people in my life say, that can't be done. You shouldn't be thinking that way. You can't do that. You didn't go to school for that. If I would have listened to them, I wouldn't be where we are and where we're going. I know D and I have this great grand vision of the Quan. We'll explain that later. But if it wasn't for those thoughts, how many times do we came up with an idea? It's like, oh my gosh, like Grub Guys, it started with something that sparked the thought. And then that thought became what?
Then it became an idea. Then it became a plan, and then from the plan, put it in action.
Absolutely. Let me bring this up. D, if you can help me with reading this, I'm too far away from the monitor. And when you're in your 50s, folks, you need glasses.
Right. Yeah.
Oh,
right. Today's topic hits home today with a new adventure and program that I'm passionately invested and said, it's now or never. an idea needs my action, so my ears are wide open.
Bert, man, I'm telling you, even when I had Capital Resolution, this was a big one. We did business turnaround for 23 years, and I hope this resonates with people, because there's two sides of everything. You have the good times, and then of course you have bad times. There's a lot of companies out there that were flourishing, and then they go through bad times. We call that a lull, down in the valley. And then they can come out of it. How do you come out of that, right? You have to form an action plan. You can't hide your head in the sand. How many of you that know somebody that is, there's just problems in their life, and those problems seem to stay problems for months and months and months because they don't do anything about those problems.
Right.
Here's one thing that I love with a mentor of mine years ago. He says, I got to tell you, Tim, it's been like 2 or 3 days and you're still dwelling on that issue. You got a day. And then tomorrow, it's time to take action and let's move forward. And that was so profound to me. I've never, from that point on, it changed my life. If there's a problem, or if there's, whatever it is in your life, think about what it is, recognize it, right? Yep, it's a problem.
Right.
But then you got to say, okay, where is the solution in this? Where is this going to be in a week from now, 2 weeks, a year from now, 5 years, right?
No, for sure. I mean, like life and business. I mean, it's peaks and valleys. You know what I mean? And then you got the journey in between them. And and what you do makes you who you are. Like how you handle the stuff. I mean, nothing is always roses. Like when we have an issue, when I have an issue here, it's not that you don't want to think about it. You know what I mean? Like you got to think about it. You don't want to just bury your head in the sand, but you also don't want to dwell on it all day either.
Without a doubt.
I think about it and I'm like, all right, man, now come up with a solution, basically like, what are you going to do?
Exactly.
Thinking about that. Then all of a sudden you're like, well, I can do this or I can do that. Maybe this might work. Then all of a sudden you're, feeling better about the problem because you actually got some ideas on how to fix it,
Without a doubt. Bert, yeah. I got to tell you something. So let's talk about Bert's question right here. How many of you have had an idea, right? You had a thought, you had an idea. One of the things I want everyone to do from now on is I have a plethora of these. Okay. I have a plethora of these. This is my journals. I even have a library of the journals throughout my time of creation. You can get these on Amazon. They're inexpensive. If you have to, I see some that the leather bound, whatever works for you, whatever is going to work for you though. But have a journal ready at all times, or whatever you want to call it, notebook, whatever. Have it always ready. There's an area that my wife made in our home where we have coffee, and her and I just have that one-on-one conversation time. And my wife is an entrepreneur. When I met her, she was not, right? My kids are entrepreneurs. My oldest son, he works for Indeed, but he's still an entrepreneur. He's writing now. He wants to become published, which is super cool and super amazing. My daughter, she sells product, but still works for another company because they're in that transition. And then my son, I can't say what it is, but he works for law enforcement, has now made a side hustle, a business, because someday he's going to retire from his actual career and he wants to do his own thing. I love that. I will tell you folks, when you have an idea, when you have a product idea and you start breathing life into it, things change on a cellular level. I know that sounds weird, but it really does. Eventually people start seeing it too. Like you just have a different step, you have a grin. Like, I don't know about you. I get real nerdy when it comes to not only ideas, but creating something. So it does start with the idea. I would love to someday, Bert, we're going to hold you to it. We want to see you see this thing through. We have a group, I have to do the shameful plug. The group is, let me bring it up here real quickly here. And folks, we'll help you with that. So Bert, we can help you with helping you flesh out a product idea as well. So here's the thing. Going back to Bert's question, he said that it's now or never. It's true. There's no better time than now. There's no better there. I love it when somebody says, I just don't have the time. Bull crap. You find the time, right? Here's the thing. If you get sick, let's say you got the flu or something, right? Do you find the time to get over it? You have to, right? Because you have to, you have to find the time. Right. If you can find time for anything, you can find time for something that's very important to you. And that's another thing. You got to figure out the importance of it. Like, what is that going to do for your life? But with Bert, that idea absolutely 100% needs action behind it. Action is the wind in a sail for a sailboat. Like a sailboat without wind goes nowhere. You have to put wind behind it. Like you have to breathe life into this thing. And it starts with flushing it out. So let's see here. I love this one. It says, by the way, this is coming through YouTube. Where your thoughts go, so does your life. Mind share to Wolf Story. Okay. I love this one. And it is this. When you have to remember you have mind share. What I mean by that is mind share is where let's talk about the war right now. If your day was consumed by watching what's going on, watching the negative news, and I get that, you got to be informed, but you're watching this stuff. Now you're talking to other people and you're giving your opinions that you might not know what you're talking about. You just took a portion of your mind share for that day, that's where you're putting your energy. That's going to give you nowhere. It's going to get you nowhere. Whereas you could take your idea and start flushing it out. And the reason why I like these is I will tell you this. To this day, I legit was with my wife. We were at a function or whatever. And I believed at the time, like, oh my gosh, this idea is stellar, right? To this day, I have no idea. And no, I have not created it. Like some people would say, well, maybe you some of the things you're doing now was that. No, I would know it if I thought of it, but I lost it. And it's because I didn't jot it down. So you got tools today. You have a phone. And if it's an iPhone, I don't care if it's a Droid, you have a note feature in there. Jot it down immediately. If you're on an airplane, I don't know about you, D, but if I'm on an airplane flying somewhere, holy crap. The reason for that is I can't get a phone call, no interruptions. Right. So my mind is like crazy anyway. But all these thoughts start coming. I'm jotting those down, man. I 99% of the time I do have a journal with me. How many times have you read something and it just made you come up with a thought? Like, oh, I got an idea. Right?
Oh yeah, no, for sure. For sure. There's definitely different triggers, to what prompts you, whether it's, reading, honestly, watching TV, watching, scrolling through Facebook and seeing something that, it could trigger. The trigger is, it could be anything, it just, absolutely. but the taking action is the biggest part.
It is. It's taking action, folks. You got to first flush it out. So what I mean by that is, okay, what does it look like? Here's another thing. You got to solve a problem, right? Ideas need to solve a problem. Bert, I don't know what your idea is. Let me bring his back up again. And the reason why I want to do that is people got to think like Bert, because 99% of the people are here. We were there. We have an idea. Don't do anything with the idea. Grub Guys was an idea for 3 years. By the way, that's not all we do, folks. Just so you know, somebody says, hey, how's that going? When we create products, don't you just feel like it's kind of like a child? I don't know how to put it. There's something real about it and it just feels good. And that's why a week ago, I think it was 2 weeks ago, maybe a week ago, we were talking about domain names. That's real to me. Like NFTs, I get the concept. Bitcoin, don't really get it. I get it, but I don't get it. What I mean by that, doesn't seem real. I get it. I realize we are going towards a digital world, and I understand that. So either you're a spectator or you're a doer. You're going to do something with the direction where everything is going, right? I wrote a book and it's not out yet. It's called Path of Many. There is so many profound stories in there of people that not only we interviewed, but mentors or whatever that changed my life, right? These are people that took an idea and made something out of it. You look at Gary Vaynerchuk. Gary Vaynerchuk had an idea. Wow, how can we get more people into our wine store? They had a wine store called Wine Library. I did not know. Have you seen it?
Huh.
If anyone doesn't know Gary Vaynerchuk, he's an incredible person. I know we'll have him on our show. Can't wait. One thing I love about Gary is you don't need like 1 million followers for him to show up. So, but here's the deal. What I love about him is, number one, he's real. Number two, he says it like it is. He does have a potty mouth, so you got to be careful. But at the end of the day, here's the deal. He's real. I love that. But he had an idea. He had a thought, right? It was his dad's business. He's like, how can I get more people in the door? So what he decided to do, because it was very freaking smart, like he saw YouTube. YouTube was like the Justin Bieber days. That's how Justin Bieber started out, by the way. He didn't get famous until he was on YouTube. He got discovered from YouTube. You have the ability today, like you can get your product out there. You can have a shopping, a store, if you will. So easy today compared to what it was even in 2006 or 7. Like it's insane how easy it is today. I mean, there are some facets that can be difficult, but you get through them. Well, with Gary Vaynerchuk, he created Wine Library on YouTube and he talked about wine. Now, some people would be like, what? There was a show about wine? Yes. And he always had things to talk about. Like he would showcase, I think it was right around 3. That's my first experience with Gary Vaynerchuk. I've been following him literally. I got notified on YouTube of this new channel. You know how they tell you, hey, if you like this, you might like that. And back then I was really into wine. And so here's the deal. It was interesting. His first 20 were not. Like he had to find his legs, right? He had to find his voice, find his legs. We all do, folks. We still haven't. I don't care. I'm still doing this, right?
Right.
Who cares? You're going to have haters. That's okay too. Just know, Bert, I don't know what his product is, but you're going to have some people going to blow bullet holes in it.
Well, I know a little bit about Bert's product.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I mean, like, I think it's going to be very interesting. I mean, he definitely has a passion for it, and I think it's going to be a great idea. I mean, his big product is helping people. You know what I mean? Like,
Fantastic.
yeah. No, he's wanting to get people over addiction, over problems, and get
That's
them. Yeah,
needed a product for sure.
yeah, exactly, and get them, like moving through it. So,
Got you.
yeah, it's going to be
Fantastic. Yeah, I love it. Just so you know, anyone that has, an idea, a business idea, a book you want to write, that side hustle you always wanted to do, there's things that you wanted to do, but other people say, oh, that's dumb, don't do it. Think of how many famous people went one way, but their parents were like trying to talk them out of it. And thank God they just kept going, right? Like we wouldn't know of them, or maybe that movie or a book, one of the most profound books that I've ever written. Legit, this guy was not going to do it. One of the most profound books I've ever written for me. One day he just said, screw it, I'm doing it. I mean, think about that for a moment. Like literally negative, self-sabotage. He kept talking himself out of it. He mentioned it to a few people and they're like, oh my gosh, that sounds stupid, right? But the right people saw something or read something he did. He goes, that needs to be a book. He goes, yeah, I wanted it. Well, write that book. Then that same day, he decides, you know what? Screw it. I'm doing it. I mean, think about that for a moment. Like that one thought became a national bestseller. One of the biggest sellers there is. It's called The 4-Hour Work Week, by the way. Think about that though. We would have never got that book. That book changed my life. I'll tell you why. I had a business to where clients had to come to me. They had to be scheduled, come to me, and then it was one-on-one, right? Well, then I'm like, man, the same thing seems to constantly happen. Like, I've got to go through this with every client. It's almost like an assembly line type of deal, right? I'm like, how can I like clone myself and like get this process out of the way? Because it's the exact same thing that everybody has to do before I knew if I can help them or not, or where they need to go. Another side of that was it was time consuming. So back then I did not know how to do video at all. I don't like my looks. I mean, there's all these things that we don't like about ourselves. And at the end of the day, I'm like, screw it. I'm going to do it. Remember, Gary, doing it. I bought a flip phone. Matter of fact, I might have, I don't. Anyways, I had not a flip phone, sorry, a flip. It was called a flip camera. I don't even know if they still make them. It was flip. It was the very first vlogging camera before vlogging was a word. Okay. But at the end of the day, I took this camera, I set it up on a tripod because I watched a video which would time out. Remember YouTube in the beginning?
Yeah.
It would take you forever to watch a 10-minute video because the internet sucked, right? But they had that vision. They knew where it was going to go. So at the end of the day, I shoot this video and hey, my name is Tim Town, Capital Resolution. Listen, if you have a problem right now or your business is being sued, I know that's going to feel. I had this thing off pretty much already done. I was saying that same thing to all my clients, but now I created process. So I cloned myself. So what I did is I just said, here's what you're going to need to do before you have an appointment with us. Here are the things we're going to need. Boom. Then I had a PDF file before that was an easy thing to do. And before, you know, everyone has those now and it's easy to do. But I had to figure it out. Like, how do I do that? Right. And then I wanted it in book form, you know, to make it easier. And then the instructions, when a client would come in, it would be like, they would sit down. Hi, Tim. Like they acted like they knew me when I never knew. That's the first time I'm meeting them. But
Right.
they went through this little process. But more importantly, I gave them self-awareness, like, you know what? Things are going to be okay. You're taking that first step. And just those little words that I never knew meant anything, you know, I'm just saying it as it is. They said that like just lifted this burden from my shoulders. Like I was so scared, you know, bill collectors were calling or whatever the case is. I thought I was going to have to close the doors on my restaurant or my business. And then I found you. Do you see how thoughts become things? Like if I didn't do that, a lot of these people would have never found me because they found me this way, this method that we created. And then by the time they got in front of me, now it's like, boom, like we can now resolve their problem and create a program for them, or we would refer them out. Sometimes an attorney was needed, right? I was a negotiating arbitrator. So if it had to go to an attorney, then that's what we would do. And, but at the end of the day, we shrank time. It gave me time back and it gave more of me to the customer because that video and the program was more thought out and more, you know, it was a program that really held their hand through it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So once again, thoughts equal things. And by the way, folks, that was back then when it was difficult. I didn't know how to shoot video. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say. I learned very quickly. I didn't want to be prompted like teleprompter. I don't believe in them. I'm not saying that everybody shouldn't,
Right.
you know, sometimes I'm hung up on a word. I'm okay. If I screw up here, we're live, like we're vulnerable.
Right.
Like I've seen people get sick on lives. Like seriously, I pray that never happens. But think about it. When you're live, you're vulnerable. It's okay. It's okay. It's just, listen, my message is more important. Entrepreneurism is more important to me. Being a product creator is more important. When your why is so bold, the other stuff doesn't matter. You just go with it. So Bert, my hat's off to you, first of all, for being a creator, but you're right. Do it. You get starting today, by the way, don't don't put it on your schedule for, okay, tomorrow morning I'm going to start. I mean, it is a start because you're scheduling it.
Oh, he's already started.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he's already started. So yeah, no, it's called changing gears. So it is cool.
I love it because I know the concept. Like,
right,
you must be in the biking community as well.
Yes.
Oh my God, I already have like idea. Bert, awesome, man. My hat's off to you. And by the way, just for the record, somebody asked me, "Are you always about money?" Absolutely not. Like, look at Mother Mary, not Mother Mary. Oh my God, who's the mother? Wait a minute, Mother Teresa.
Mother Teresa.
Mother Teresa, the one
is that you're thinking of?
Yeah, dude, it's early. Okay, she was like, I'm assuming she was broke, right? But look at what she did.
Right.
Her mission, her purpose, her why was way more powerful to her than worrying about the clothes on her back or the money that she would get.
That's right.
And look at what she did. I'm not going to go down that road, but I mean, you could be that. You could be somebody that's really going to help people, like with addiction or with weight loss or marriage counseling. Like, this was a big one. My wife and I were approached by somebody that wanted us to come speak, which I haven't approached her yet with it, but it was this. Tim, right now, there's a lot of divorce and stuff, and a lot of kids today are like, why get married if most of it ends up divorce? It used to be 50%. Now it's grown. It's like, you know what? Even if somebody is going through a divorce or did go through a divorce, that's not the end. Like, there's new beginnings too. But at the end of the day, they wanted us to speak. And I'm like, you got to understand something first. We're not saints. Like, my wife and I had the same struggles as a lot of other people do. However, he goes, yeah, but you got through it. It's like, oh, yeah, you're right. I'll own that. I'll own that. My wife and I've never, we communicate, right? Now, this is not a marriage counseling session, but case in point, yes, there is a thing that we're going to be doing that's going to help people with relationships. Even if you did go through a divorce, then what, right? We're going to help people. There's a need there. And it's 100% give back. We don't want no money for that, right? Now, folks, yes, you have to make money. So if you have a product idea and it's a burning desire in you, you got to get it out there. Just like Bert says, it's time. Time is now, by the way. Time is now.
Time, time and property, things we don't make any more of.
Can I give you a little pat on the back?
Who?
You. Pat on the back. Here it is.
Sure.
There are times when even now we've created a lot of stuff in 3 years and then before that. So, that's just you and I together. And then there's stuff individually, right? But at the end of the day, here's the deal. There are times that I saw like stuff you were doing. I'm like, holy crap. Like, those trails didn't exist, but you guys did it. Or your how do you want to call it? Remake? You went from snowmobile industry to the biking industry.
Right.
I knew that was the product, by the way. I remember saying it to a few people. If you don't mind me,
no, you were around. You remember how many people were totally against that and hated it too?
I was at a restaurant, you know who, I'm not going to mention names, lovely lady, but she's like, yeah, but Dee's got this thing for these bikes. And I go, do you want my opinion on that? And she goes, yeah. I go, that's the product. Just so you know, he's actually thinking right. Nothing against the snowmobile industry. I get it.
Right.
But at the end of the day, because our winners are so small and getting smaller, now we had a good winner this year. Great.
Dude, people say that. I don't think so.
Oh, you really?
Yeah. No, I don't.
Well, you're the expert in that industry. So,
well, I remember what it used to be. The winners got so bad that we have a okay winner. Everyone thinks is great.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like,
I love that. Okay.
Right. I mean, honestly, it was short. I mean, snowmobile trails or whatever you want. Snowmobile trails didn't open until almost the 20th of January, and they were done President's Day weekend.
Yeah. It's so short.
Right. That, I mean, you know what I mean? That's what I mean. But like, yeah, we actually got out and actually had a winner.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, if it wasn't, it was barely, it wasn't even a month long.
I know.
So,
That's a good point. I didn't think of that. Yeah. And now imagine when your business is around that month long. That we always called it or referred to it as the lightning business. And I'll give you an example where I came up with that. There was a gentleman that sold this glass. We were in Daytona Beach a long time ago. My kids were little, and this guy was selling this glass, and you know, I didn't know what it was, but they look like art, right? To me, it just looks like a blob of something, right? But then all of a sudden you see this explanation as to what you're looking at, and it says it's lightning glass. I'm like, lightning glass? Believe it or not. So when people say, well, my product idea might be dumb, or I don't know if people will like it. Well, there's a way to figure that out. We won't talk about it here, but don't think that way, because think of this. I didn't understand it. I don't even know if you even know about this. This guy goes down in Florida, sticks rods into sand. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do know what you're
Is
talking
that
about.
crazy or what? I never knew this thing existed.
Yeah.
He waits for lightning to strike, and lightning creates his product. And for anyone who's listening, is like, what? Yeah, that's what I said too. Here's
Right.
what happens. Lightning is, I used to be, I'm not going to, my nickname is Sparky for a reason. I've been electrocuted a couple times, but I used to be afraid of, like, I literally dove under my car once when a lightning strike hit. Like, that's how, I'm not like that anymore. I don't know how I got cured, but my oldest son is kind of wiggy like that too. If you ever seen what the damage that lightning can do, you might respect it a little bit more. But watch this. That lightning became this guy's product. Like, lightning hits these rods, and what happens is the lightning goes down into the sand and burns the sand and melts it and turns it into glass.
That's right.
How crazy is that?
Yeah.
I would love to know how he even figured this out, but he's in the lightning business. He's got to wait for a storm. You and I might be like, storm's coming. He's all happy. He can't.
Right.
You know.
Like he's like storm chasing. You know what I mean? Like, right.
And here's the thing. How much does he make? I don't know. I really don't. I should actually like seek him out.
Well,
Like,
I mean,
I'm sure he's
I wonder if he does it cradle to grave. I wonder if he like obviously creates a product, makes jewelry or whatever.
Yeah. He makes other things from it. Yes, you're
makes
absolutely right.
other things. Just, you know.
And it sounds cool. Like, you have something in your hand lightning made. I mean, I don't know. That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, no, for sure. You know, and it's funny because, like, to a lesser degree, you see people up on the, Erie all the time, hunting for beach glass, and then they're taking
Yes.
beach glass and making jewelry and stuff out of it as well.
Absolutely. All righty, we're going to wrap this up. You and I have something coming up as well, but I want to just share these last things, folks. We're going to show you, for some of you, thoughts equal things, man. At the end of the day, just like Bert, he's going to finally work on this. And Bert, give it a name. I think he did. Okay, so that's cool. So he named it. And now you're going to flesh it out. And it's like, where's the result, right? I always go with the result first and work backwards. That's just what I do. A lot of people do it. Find out what the result is. For me, some of the things that I did back in the day with Capital, it's like, okay, here's my company. What do I need to do? Like licensing and all that stuff. Okay, that's the mechanical stuff. But then what's the result that my customer's going to want? Well, they don't want their business to go under. They didn't want to go bankrupt. They didn't want to be sued. So I thought of all of the things that they didn't want. Okay, what do we need to do to make that happen? How can we resolve that? What are some of my obstacles or theirs that's going to be in the way of all of that solution, right? So think of it that way. And then also, if you're a product creator, a physical, it's so dark in here. I gotta anyways, a physical product, earrings, jewelry, watches, whatever it is, something you're creating with your own hands, which, by the way, that's just cool. I still think in your industry, you have a product that you could literally design, and I'm sure you probably thought of it. You could design your own mountain bike or something, some variant of it.
No, I totally could, and we've actually talked about it a little bit. You
I'm
know,
not saying you will. I'm just saying
Well,
you
right.
could do that. You're in
No,
the industry.
no. With the way parts are right now, I would be pulling my hair out like everybody. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
got you.
like
You know
everybody
what
else.
though? Tom Bilyeu, he's another great, imagine. He's just amazing. He created Quest. Okay. Now listen, for all of your fitness buffs, like, some people say, well, it's not as healthy as he said. Listen, I'm not in that debate. I think it is. I think it is good. But listen to this guy. Listen, so he's got this idea. It doesn't exist. He had morbidly obese family members. He wanted to create a bar that is really healthy for you, a candy bar that's healthy, will give you the protein, all the micronutrients that you need, right?
Right.
Didn't exist. At that time, now there's copycats and there's all sorts of companies coming up with their own version. But at the end of the day, when Quest came out, there were protein bars out there. There were other things, but they literally were not healthy. It had sugar in it, all sorts of stuff that was harmful. Some of it wasn't organic, whatever, right?
Right.
What he did is he's like, okay, I need to do this. We're going to bring in all of these great nutrients for athletes and as well as people losing weight. You're going to use this bar as a snack, whatever. Guess what? They didn't have the machinery that was needed to actually make a portion of this bar. It was absolutely needed. The bar couldn't be formed because the machine didn't exist.
Right.
He made the machine. He's not in the machine business, but it didn't exist. So he had to create. Now, I'm not going to tell you to make your own parts, but you get the point. Like when there's an obstacle in the way, you got to figure it out.
No, I don't, real quick, it's amazing. Like I was watching on History Channel, like Building America or something. It was like a 8-part special.
Okay.
And one was about putting the telegram wire under the sea connecting the US to England for the first time ever.
What? Okay.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So like through the telegram.
Yes.
So obviously it needs to have a wire to go from, United States to England,
Underwater and everything. Yes.
Yeah. It actually went to Ireland.
Wow.
But the wire broke twice.
Okay.
And of course he's got to be connected. So the third time the guy had to invent a machine that would slow the spool down. You know what I mean? First he had to invent the wire.
Yes.
So he had a team working on the wire. But the biggest thing is once he got the wire in, obviously, I mean, the wire was what 2,500 miles worth of wire, which weighed 6 million tons or something. I mean, I can't remember,
Yeah,
so
that's copper inside.
Yeah, it would snap the wire.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So he had to come up with all this stuff, but also invent the machine to slow spool the wire out. So the third time he actually did it. First two were fails. And you think of epic fails. It was what? Late 1800s or 1900s. It was $150 million.
I'll be darned.
You know what I mean? And to fail twice and the third time to get it. But yeah, no. I mean, if you believe it, if you dream it, if you think about it, the barriers to entry, you'll figure out a way.
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to bring, this is your dad. I'm bringing him up. I hope he's okay with that. Christians don't just pray and hope. Christians receive dreams and visions in order to challenge the person to achieve work to success. Faith is as important. Yeah, absolutely. Faith has a lot of, listen, I'm a Christian, but I'm not going to push, I have many different faiths. My coder is Hindi. Okay. And at the end of the day, but I am a Christian, and Frank, you're absolutely right. I have a lot of faith. There are days though that we don't. Let's be honest, right? Like there are days when we lose faith in ourselves, we lose faith in human kindness. Like look at what's going on with the world right now. It's easy to lose faith, and I get that. Right. And they're not to get on religion, but Frank, you're right. But here's the thing. I think there's almost a war against religion right now, right? And maybe that's somebody's purpose, is to help out with that and that sort of thing. Like there's so many different things, but you're absolutely right. Faith is as important. And that's what I'm talking about. I mean, faith is the belief in yourself. If you read the Bible or not, it references that a lot. But once again, even if you're asking for and you're praying on something, God gave us a brain for a reason.
Well, I guess, like last Wednesday was Ash Wednesday, and let me say this, like, I mean, there's one person that went through more than anybody else that did not waver, did not wander.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, you look what Jesus went through in his life.
Yeah.
And never varied from his path.
Shame on me, though. You just kicked me in the gut. Like last Wednesday was Ash Wednesday. See what I mean, though? Like my days are like, I forgot.
Right,
How horrible is that? So Frank, that's another thing, folks. We gotta remember what's important. One of the reasons why I wanted to be an entrepreneur, do you know the reason why I wanted to be an entrepreneur? Not to mention that it's just fun, but my main reason for being an entrepreneur, what's that?
Be your own boss?
Yeah, but that was there's a reason behind that, though.
Right.
Because being your own boss, you get to do what? You get to schedule your own schedule.
Right, exactly.
My main reason for being an entrepreneur is so I didn't have to go to a boss and say, hey, can I have the week of this off? I want to take my family to Daytona Beach. I wanted to be able to see every play, because when I was at Prudential Financial, sometimes I didn't get home until 11 o'clock at night, and I was missing some stuff. Or my wife would say, yeah, Aaron, he's now this big giant police officer. He walked, and I was like, I'm missing some stuff. So I wanted to be an entrepreneur where I can design my life. I never missed a play. I never missed a football game or a football practice. I made that as equally as important as the negotiations that I was doing. So when people say, I don't have the time for a gym, I don't have time to do this, or I don't have time for my side hustle, I don't have time to flesh out a product. Yes, you do. You just got to make it a priority. I made my kids a priority. I made my wife a priority. I always said, especially with my wife having some health problems, but I always dated her. Like every week, it was very important to me to take her out and be one-on-one and discuss family or ourselves and our dreams and our hopes and our, you know what I mean? Like that's important. And some of the things that I'm seeing today is dreams are being squished by the weight of the world. You need to block that stuff out. Quit watching the negative news. I realize what's going on, but that's not going to change. If you can't do anything about it, why are you feeding your mind with that? You make change by creating, by doing. Bert, come on. You're going to make change, brother. Like that's going to change somebody's life. I know my company, there was one client that made the whole journey worth it. And I'm saying there was many reasons. Like, matter of fact, it was a sad day for me when I decided one day meditating that I'm like, it's time. I'm going to retire from capital. I'm going to retire. I don't know what that looked like. Like, I didn't know. I'm in a steam room or a sauna, and I decided that this is the day. Like, I made the decision, the thought equals things.
Right.
And I'm going to go a different direction. And get this one. What came to my mind was I already did the video thing and I already understood the path of many. You got it. There's a way today that you can clone yourself, and we'll talk about that another time. And I'm like, I want to own, get this, a tech company. I want to own a passage to help other entrepreneurs get their message out to the world. I want to, like, this is what was going through my mind. So now I'm driving home and I'm like, babe, what about this? I'm that negotiations that I did last week, I think it was kind of like hurting me on a cellular level. I like got heated and the attorney got heated, and I go, I don't know if I can keep doing, like, that's going to hurt me. Like, I'm 40. I will remember as if it was yesterday. And she goes, okay. And now, mind you, my wife started learning, like, even when I left Prudential, she's like, you know what? I believe in you. Just make it happen. Let's do it. And then when we did something else, she believed in it. But at the end of the day, I'm 40 now. And I'm like, I'm not like quitting right now. I'm going to make a plan, right?
Right.
Plan You got to have action with a plan. Otherwise, it's a dream, folks. If you have an idea, a business idea, it's a dream unless you work it. Bert's going to see that through, and it's going to change lives. I had one client that made the whole journey worth it. I'm not going to get into why, but it changed their life. It changed their marriage. They were ready to divorce. It rekindled their marriage. I wasn't a marriage counselor. It's just I saw what was dividing them, and I said, really? You're going to let this come between your marriage? Remember you said those vows? You're going to make that happen? Are you? And then that two wolf thing, wise grandfather, Indian grandfather, the grandchild says, grandfather, yes, I'm doing bad, but, he goes, well, you have two wolves in you. You have a good wolf and a bad wolf. And he goes, well, grandfather, how do I win the bad wolf? He goes, you don't feed it.
Right.
You feed whatever's going to be a thing. Like if you're feeding into the bad of the world and you're commenting and haters are coming after you, if you're feeding that, that's where your life's going to go. Or you could be feeding your idea. You could be feeding the dreams that are in your mind that will eventually become a thing by fleshing it out and by doing it. So I didn't know what that looked like. I didn't know how to code. I knew there was a lot that I had to learn. But that actually was less of a problem than my purpose and my why. That made it worth it, and it made my journey a little easier. Same with you. Your company is where it's at because of a thought, but because of action. So my pat on the back for you was this. I saw you guys accomplishing things that takes a lot of people like 5 years to do. Like all of a sudden, right down to certain things like on your building, like 1 minute this thing's not there, and the next minute you got that beautiful, the whatchamacallit, the beams. Yeah. Well, but it's vision and it's action. When your head hits the pillow and you realized how much you got done, it's going to get that thing closer. I don't know. For me, it just
thank you.
It's amazing. Okay, so my hat's off on you. Stay in motion. By the way, we have next week when we talk about product creation and tools that you can use. We don't have time today. I was going to hopefully throw that in. But tools you can use today, you can literally be a QVC. You could literally be, anything.
Wait, it's funny because that ties in really, because that's what I was thinking about when we were talking about today's topics too. It's never been easier to get product out to the masses than it is right now.
No,
I'm excited. That's going to be a great topic for next week.
And if a lot of people don't realize that you can have your own product right on Amazon. We'll talk about that in future weeks. You can have your own product on Amazon. So Amazon is this conglomerate they got the traffic, folks. So you could create a product, put it there, but we're going to teach you even, I believe, better methods. Or maybe you have something inside you want to teach. We talk about that often. I'm going to talk about it forever. By the way, we have a program, 52 weeks in a year, 52 weeks, a challenge that, you're going to stay committed. 52. Everybody wants immediate results. My goal was 190. Yeah, I would have loved at the time to get to 190 tomorrow. It's not going to happen. You have to make a plan. At the end of the day, can you imagine in a full year, you got a well-oiled machine, you got a well-oiled company, and now you could, for some people, maybe that's what you do and you just do it. For other people, it's like, now it's time I get to retire from the business world or a job, and I'm going to be doing this full time. That's what we're talking about, is how you go about doing that. But there's certain tools, easy to use, that you can use right now and really get it out there to the world. So we're going to go over that next week. That I believe is profound. Let me make sure I covered something else. Once again, stay away from gossip and news. And I used to put sometimes I still have a hard time with it, but my political views. Realistically, I'm independent. I just go with who's good. I voted for Obama back in the day. I just came to the conclusion, you know what? Little old me is not going to make a difference. I'm just not going to participate anymore. Does no good. I don't want to divide people. We need to come together. And if a presidential group, okay, I don't care if it's Democrats, Republicans, because it's always a Democrat or Republican that wins the office, right? You never have like an independent, or somebody else. But at the end of the day, it's whoever's better for the job. Listen, what about all of us coming together, locking arms and making a difference? The people make the difference. Let's be honest. That's what makes the difference. Ukraine, it's the people that are making a difference right now in not letting Putin take over the country. That's what's making the difference right now. So just think of that. Like, you have the power. Think of all of the people that have created wonderful stuff. The mic that I'm speaking in was created by somebody. The telephone that I had a business that 99% of my business was done on the phone and a headset negotiations. Who originated that was Bell, right? It's just the electric we're using, Edison. Like, believe it or not, you could really think or improve a product that's already there. That's a big industry. That's another topic as well, is just how do you improve a product? Real quick, and then I'm going to go. There was a product that we were involved in. My son was actually the model for it. What they did was they created a seat that adjusts on the fly, like you're riding, and instead of getting off and readjusting the bike, the seat adjusts by you right there. You just adjust it, move it while you're riding. It didn't exist. They're like, that doesn't exist, so they created it. Okay. And then, of course, there's things called patents and trademarks and stuff like that you really do need to know. We're not attorneys. We can at least point in the right direction, give you thought-provoking things that we do, and then take it to your attorney or whatever if you need to. When to incorporate is another topic matter that we're going to address inside Link Boss, the group. So for all of you that need further directions, feel free, please join the group, because we were going to advertise the group a few weeks ago. It finally goes this weekend, to where we're wanting to help as many people as possible to get their dreams to the world. So any last parting thoughts, D?
No, nope. Great topic this week. We'll look forward to seeing everyone next week.
Alrighty, people. Once again, don't wait. Get going. Flush your ideas out. Make sure you always have a book nearby that I flesh out ideas. I mean, all the time. Flesh out your ideas. Always write it down. Don't ever rely on this. You're never going to remember. So write it down and then start putting action behind it. Alrighty, until the next call, we'll see you all. Have a great and safe weekend. Until next time, remember, mind your own business. Peace.